So here we have Selection Tool 2, and just like with Selection Tool 1, we have a number of different pictures on the same page, and we're going to be making a collage out of these pictures. The final product is going to look like this, where we have all those pictures moved together to make a collage. We have a pen that's been rotated. We have 3 globes instead of 1, and also an inverted color scheme with those globes. One difference between Selection Tool 1 and Selection Tool 2 is that with Selection Tool 2, each of these images are on its own layer or sheet of paper. One of the challenges with Selection Tool 1 was that once we selected a part of the picture and then moved it like so, and then placed that selection, if I was unhappy with it, I couldn't move the mouth, and I could only move the entire frame. Or if I went back and reselected the part of the selection that I wanted moved again, it would take away part of my picture. That's corrected by using layers, which we'll see in Selection Tool 2. So the first object that I'm going to move is this black oval into place on top of the book. To do that, I'm going to grab the elliptical marquee. I'm going to start to trace the oval. Now I'm holding space to adjust my selection. I'm going to let go of space and continue to trace. Now when I go to move this selection, as you notice, I'm not able to do that. And the reason why I'm not able to do that is because I'm not in the proper layer. Right now I'm in the 5 layer. So anything that I want to select, it could only be over this 5 picture because that's the only image in this layer. Whereas if I move to the oval layer, now I can move my selection. So the next image that we're going to want to grab is this blue 5. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is move to the 5 layer, and I'm going to use the magic wand to select this 5. And if you remember from Selection Tool 1, the way the magic wand works is that once you set your tolerance, and let's set it to 32 for this, and left click on a section of your picture, the magic wand selects similar colors to the area where you had clicked. Now if I want to add to this selection, all I have to do is hold shift on my keyboard, and you notice a plus sign emerge next to the magic wand tool, and when I continue to click other areas of the picture, my selection grows according to other similar colors that I'm now selecting. Had I wanted to do this in fewer steps, and I'll deselect what I had selected previously, using the magic wand and increasing the tolerance and left clicking a section of the 5, you notice that more of the 5 was now selected. And again, if I hold shift, I can add to the selection. Now if part of the 5 picture was selected that I didn't want, what I can do is come up and try and drop down the tolerance, and then by holding Alt on my keyboard I can select another part of the picture and remove part of the selection, as you saw there. Okay, so now I'm going to take the move tool and move that 5 up into place. Grab another selection tool and just left click, and now it's dropped into place. And I can always come back with the move tool and move that 5 because we have layers. So the next image that we're going to select is the flower. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is come down to the flower layer. And I'm going to draw a rectangle using the rectangle marquee tool around the flower. And again, I'm going to use the magic wand to select the flower, but this time I'm not going to select colors that I want. I'm going to select the color that I don't want within this rectangle selection. I don't want anything that's white, which would be the flower. So I'll take the magic wand, I'm going to drop the tolerance down to, let's say 30 for this. I'm going to hold Alt, and you can see again the negative sign next to the magic wand, and I'm going to click a white area within this selection. And now I have everything that's not white, which is the flower. I have this other section here, and I'm going to just left click that just to get rid of it. And now with the move tool, I can move my flower into place. The next object that I'm going to select is the globe. So the first thing again that we have to do is go to the globe layer. For this I'm going to use the elliptical marquee. Draw my circle. Again, by holding shift you could draw a perfect circle, and by holding spacebar you can move your selection and let go of spacebar to continue to trace. I'm going to hold spacebar again, move it a little bit more, and that's pretty good. Now I'm going to get my move tool. I'll move the globe into place. In this collage, though, we have 3 globes. To copy this image, with the move tool selected, you hold Alt, left click, and drag. Now I have a second globe. The only problem is, in the example, the second globe is bigger than the first globe. So to change the size or the scale of this second globe, you go to Edit, Transform, Scale. Now I can adjust the size, and you can see that the picture is getting distorted. If I hold Shift, now I can shrink and grow this globe in proportion. Make it a medium-sized globe. I could hit Enter to place the object. And again, I'm going to make a third globe by holding Alt with the Move tool selected. There's a third globe. And again, we have to scale this and make it larger. Edit, Transform, Scale. I'm going to hold Shift so it grows proportionally. And hit Enter to lock it into place. I'm going to grab another selection tool and just left click to deselect everything on that layer. The last thing that we have to do with the globes is invert the colors. To invert the colors, you have to go to Image, Adjustments, Invert. The next object that we're going to move into place is the lock. So for this, after I select the lock layer, I'm going to grab my magnifying glass and zoom in on the lock. I'm going to use the magnetic lasso in order to select this lock. And the way this tool works is it also selects similar colors or recognizes similar colors just the way that the magic wand does. But it uses a lassoing technique to trace along the edge of similar colors. So to activate the tool, you left click, and now I'm just dragging. And because the magnetic lasso recognizes similar colors, it can trace along the outside of this lock. Now what I like to do is every once in a while left click and drop an anchor point just so I know if there's any mistakes I don't have to go back to the beginning. I have some anchor points set. So continue to trace, clicking periodically, and then ultimately I get back to the beginning and I left click and I close the selection. Now I'm going to zoom out. So again, I'm going to use the magnifying tool. I'm going to hold Alt, left click, and zoom out so I can see my entire collage. And then with the Move tool, I'll move the lock into place. The last object that we have to move into place is the pen. So now I'm going to go down to the pen layer. Again, I'm going to zoom in on the pen. This time I'm going to trace along the outside of the pen so I can zoom in on it. And for this, I'm going to use the polygon lasso. The way the polygon lasso works is it will draw straight lines. So you click, left click, and I can draw some straight lines. I'm just continuing to left click along the perimeter of this pen. There are many different ways that you could have selected the pen. I'd like you to get some practice using all the different selection tools. So I'm just clicking along the outside of the pen. And then once I get back to the beginning, you'll notice on your screen that once you close the selection, there's a hollow circle. That means that once you make this last click, my selection is automatically closed. So I'm going to zoom out, again holding Alt on my keyboard, the magnifying glass. I will grab the Move tool and move the pen into place. Now in the example, the pen is rotated. So to rotate this pen, we have to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. Now I can rotate the pen. If I want to move the pen, I can still move the pen. and then to lock it into place you hit enter. The last thing that we have to do with this project is crop out the area of the collage that we want to keep and eliminate all of this trash that's around the outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the crop tool, and the crop tool is here on the toolbar, and I'm going to left click and draw a selection around the area of the picture that I want to keep. And if I had cut off part of the picture that I wanted to keep, I could always just extend this area, extend it a little bit at the bottom, and then to lock it into place you hit enter. So that's the conclusion of Selection Tool 2. Please save your work properly, and we'll see you for the next project.